Micro Moment.
Hey, welcome back down inside of the archive room of the Plastic Planet. A lot of people over the years have asked me, I've been collecting figures since, as an adult, since probably 1996. That's over 22 years. And in that time, it would be very, very difficult for me to nail down which one of those action figures is my favorite. I couldn't do that. That would be very hard. But ironically, it is very, very easy for me to nail down which one I loathe the most. One of my very favorite Star Wars action figures as a child was the R5-D4 action figure from Kenner. I loved this little robot a great deal, and I played with him a lot, and I kept him in really pristine condition. Unfortunately, this isn't it. This is one I picked up a couple years ago on eBay or some site. Maybe I got him at an antique store. I don't know. And he actually has reproduction stickers on him, so he looks great. Something that I kind of had to hodgepodge together to get him looking like how I remembered him. But nevertheless, really excited I own this figure. Just because I lost mine when I was a kid. Like most kids, I lost a great deal of my Star Wars figures. So when I started recollecting Star Wars in 1996, following the relaunch of the Kenner Power of the Force 2 Star Wars line in 1995, I was really excited to get a new R5-D4. What I got was a giant heaping bowl of bitter disappointment. What I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the absolute worst action figure, in my opinion, ever made. This is, of course, the Power of the Force 2 R5-D4 with the secret rocket launching play feature attached to him. This figure is a heaping pile of shit. Now, as you can see, I've actually placed Scotch tape on mine all around his head there, because this falls away for the rocket launching play gimmick, which is a horrid play gimmick for this figure. As you can see, this figure is the most on-screen accurate action figure, frankly, I've ever seen. Especially, well, at least for a Star Wars figure, nonetheless. He's got some kind of little side guns here. Obviously, these weren't in the movie, were they? Pew, 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 pew! Yeah, and I have wrapped him up in Scotch tape just because his head frequently would fall apart or fall over when I had him displayed on a shelf, when I actually did display this figure, which he hasn't been displayed in a great number of years. So let's go ahead and remove this tape right now so you guys can witness the glory of this abomination to what was a great, awesome figure in R5-D4 from the original Kenner line. So, as you can see, this thing hardly stays together. Do I even have my rocket in there? Oh, that's disappointing. I don't even have my rocket in there anymore. That sucks. I'm sorry. I was hoping I still had that so we could shoot it at least, but no, I don't. So basically, the figure would fall apart. I get it. In the movie, R5-D4 was a bit of a piece of shit himself, but this figure just goes above and beyond. It's just almost cruel. Even as a play toy, I'm not sure what exactly he's supposed to be. But nevertheless, as you can see, the figure hardly stays together. These panels fall away. I guess they did do some nice interior work on it, I suppose. Actually, maybe it looks even a little better on the inside than it does on the outside. But nevertheless, I can't stand this figure. This is by far, of the thousands of action figures that I've collected over the years, this is by far my least favorite. And yet another unfortunate aspect of this horrible 1996 Power of the Force 2 R5-D4 was it took almost a decade for Kenner/Hasbro to rectify this mistake when they came out with this R5-D4, and I can't remember, maybe roughly around 2006, 2007, I don't remember exactly when he came out, but this was, when I finally got this action figure in my collection, it was like one of the, utmost joys I've ever gotten out of spending $6-7 on an action figure, because finally they had captured the essence of R5-D4 from the original Star Wars. Maybe he could have had a little more Tatooine weathering on him, but nevertheless, he still looked really good. And even still, they didn't capture his antenna properly because you had to wind around his head to get his antenna to pop up. So even after all this time, this still wasn't a perfect figure. Nevertheless, it was such a far improvement over this abomination that this thing absolutely seemed like, figure of the year for me. Now, they did actually improve on this guy a couple of years later, just a few years later, and this is on card, but when they came out with the VOTC R5D4, which I have on card here, as you can see, the antenna is in there, and this is, you know, outside of maybe needing a little weathering, this is actually a really awesome version of R5D4. Very screen accurate, pretty awesome. But yes, this poor little guy, the Power of the Force 2 R5D4, of the thousands of action figures I've collected over the years, to this day remains the absolute worst figure I own. And yet he is a cherished member of the Plastic Planet just because of how absolutely horrible he is. He's like everyone's favorite ugly dog. He just wins by being him.
This has been another Knick-Knack Micro Moment. For more Knick-Knack's Plastic Planet, click on a video below, and for God's sakes, please like, share, and subscribe.